Hello everyone, today I want to share with you the way Indonesian people learn English. First of all, I want to ask you, what the importance of English language? Knowing English increases your chance of getting a good job in a multinational company within your home country or for finding work abroad. It's also the language of international communication, the media and the internet, so learning English is important for socializing and entertainment as well as work. Now I want to share with you some importance of English. There are some reasons to learn the English language. First is English is a global language. English is the most commonly spoken language in the world. 1 out of 5 people can speak or at least understand English. Next reason is studying English can help you get a job. English is the language of science, aviation, computers, diplomacy, and tourism. Knowing English increases your chance of getting a good job in a multinational company within your home country or of finding work abroad. Next reason is learning English can help you meet new people. English is the official language of 53 countries and is used a lingua franca or a mutually known language by people from all around the world. This means that whether you're working in Beijing or traveling in Brazil, studying English can help you have a conversation with people from all over the world. And the last reason is many scientific papers are written in English. In the last century, the number of scientific papers written in English has started to outweigh the number of papers in the last century written in native language of the researcher. In the Netherlands, for example, the ratio is a surprising 40-1. For this reason, having a knowledge of English is incredibly important to those working in the scientific field. Now, language is a very important element in human life. Every human needs language to be able to communicate with each other. So how is English used globally? Not without reason, English is used as an international language, and it means everyone must be able to use English language. There are several reasons why English language is used globally, such as English is the oldest language in the world that originated in the place of Britain, which is around the 8th century. English also has a rapid development of vocabulary. In addition, there are also other assumptions regarding this matter. It can also be that English is more relevant in use today than seen from a variety of aspects. Maybe in terms of vocabulary, grammar makes it more relevant to what is seen in various parts of the world. The fact also says that the United Kingdom is the country with the most colonies in the world. Therefore, English is very familiar and more widely used in various countries, especially British colonies. That's why English is spreading faster to trade and other fields. Now, how do people acquire English language in general? English is an international language. English is used almost all over the world. Almost every school has English lessons. Because of English is an international language, therefore everyone can learn English, even in various countries. English is a must-learn lesson. Some people acquire English from babies because English is their first language, but for others, they have to study and practice every day in order to be able to acquire English language. Everyone has different ways to acquire English language. For us Indonesians, we can do acquire English through learn and often practice. Like for example, almost all schools in Indonesia have English lessons and make language lessons English as a compulsory subject. After we know about how do people acquire English language in general, now we come up with how do Indonesians explore the language in developing language competence. English was first taught in Indonesia in 1914 in junior high school, and after independence from Dutch in 1945, English was designated as the first foreign language because it was more neutral than Dutch and Japanese, which both carried colonial overtones, and because it had a higher international status. Not surprisingly, Indonesian students came to see English as necessary to acquire information from abroad and to communicate with the outside world. Lamb and Coleman, 2008. The top 1 until 3% of Indonesians, including business people, academics, and government officials, also began seeking written and spoken English proficiency for the opportunities it gave to study abroad or seek employment with international companies. Alright, now, do Indonesian people imitate pattern of English language? Many languages around the world have similarities, for example in syntax or grammar, even vocabulary, where they have the same origin, such as Dutch and Germany, Indonesian and Malaysian, or French and Spanish. But English and Indonesian are very different, where each language has roots originating from Germany and Austronesian. With so many differences they have, it is a challenge for native speakers of Indonesian to learn the ins and outs of more complex English. For example, questions in English starting with 5W plus 1H. Who, what, when, why, where, and how, followed by the subjects, past verb, or in the question, yes or no, starts with the verb followed by the subject. What are you eating? Are you eating? Indonesian, questions begin with the subject. Kamu makan apa? Kamu mau makan. Meanwhile, the adjective phrase in the two languages have opposite rules. In English, adjectives are before nouns, but for Indonesian, nouns are at the beginning. For example, red car. Indonesian is relatively easy to learn because of its simple grammar rules, especially related to verbs, unlike Indonesian where the use of verbs remains the same in past, present, and future situations. It is different with English, which has 16 different tenses. Alright. How do they examine the functioning of different sounds in word building and physical properties behind their production? Now, as Indonesian who is not fluent in English certainly has difficulty in producing words in English. Differences in how to read, differences in writing, and word structure makes it difficult for Indonesians to produce words, especially sentences in English. But as long as we want to learn and practice like watching English language films often, learning how to read and write, then we will be easier and faster in producing English. As I read from the Jawa Post, the art of language learning follows the way children's language learning has knowledge. Children will be able to say one word. If the word he hears up to 17 times, he said in the grand opening of Wall Street English at Pakuan Mall, Monday. And for adults who want to produce English can be done easily, especially in today's digital era. How to improve English in adults can be achieved in various ways. Especially with the development of various digital communication media, there are many supporting materials that are easily accessed online. From electronic books or ebooks, online TV series, online films, and online newspapers. All of this can be accessed easily through a computer, tablet, or smartphone. With all the facilities available, no matter the age, everyone can learn, practice English, and thus be able to produce foreign languages. There is no minimum age to start learning a foreign language. Children born to parents in two different languages are very capable of learning both languages. Alright then, after we know all things above, how do you personally improve your language competence? How am I improve my language competence? First of all, I have to pray, so God will help me to improve my language competence, and the other way is doing my hobby, that is watching vlogs or films in English language. And by watching the films or vlogs that use English language, I can improve my vocabulary and pronunciation. I can find many words or idioms that I found by watching movies or vlogs with English subtitle. Nowadays, many books, novels, or children's stories is available in everywhere, so I can read it to improve my language competence. And a thing that also really helps me to improve my language competence is to talk with foreigners who can speak English or native speakers, because by talking to them, I can improve my vocabulary and I can better in production of sentences. So, it's okay even though you are not competent in language. but you have to still learn and practice. The next question is, how well are you in learning patterns of sounds and sentences? Actually, I am one of the people who are slow in learning. When I study, I have to read more than once to understand what I have to learn. I will also understand better if I write the lessons in book or paper. I have a good pronunciation even though I have a good pronunciation, but I still learn more. I'm also a person who is quite curious about many things, especially new things, as well as in learning languages. Even though I am weak in listening, but I'm good in reading. I'm also quite good in speaking and writing. Although I still have a lot to improve my competence. And actually, I am quite good at making sentences with English language, but because I still feel nervous, so I often make mistakes in producing sentences. Now, what motivates me to keep learning the language? What motivates me to keep learning language is because my major is English education, so I have to keep learning languages. Another reason is because humans cannot become a real humans without language. So, why do I stop learning language? Actually, language is exciting lessons if we are truly and always interested in learning language. And there is a quote that motivates me that is, if we never try, we will never know. Alright, the last question is what difficulties that I haven't solved in learning the language and what difficulties that I have solved. I have difficulties with grammar, where my grammar is still a bit messy. Sometimes the tenses that I use are wrong. For example, I should have used past tense instead of using present tense. I also still have difficulty in producing words. When my lecturer asks me something, sometimes I am still confused about what to answer. So when I am told to explain something, my vocabulary is still lacking. So I have difficulty in producing words. And what difficulties that I have solved is pronunciation. I have a good pronunciation in reading. I used to have a bad pronunciation in reading or talking, but praise God, now I have a good pronunciation in reading or talking. But having a good pronunciation must be trained through watching movies or vlogs in English, listening to music, reading English books, and my teacher, Ma'am Deborah, told us to record our voices while reading and rehear the recording. Is there a wrong pronunciation or not? If there a wrong pronunciation, repeat it again. So, that's all my presentation about the way Indonesian people learn English. Thank you and God bless you.